It was day 10 of my 12-day trip to Italy, and I was lying on a bathroom floor in Venice, puking my guts out, wondering exactly what I did wrong. I'd already vomited twice, and I did not feel any better. Vomiting a third time actually helped a little. But give it a few hours, and I was hungry again, ready to go back out and continue eating my way through Italy. By then, I'd also figured out exactly what led me to that moment on the bathroom floor. I'll tell you what happened and why it was completely avoidable a little later. But first, let's back up. I spent 12 days traveling through Italy, half convinced Italian food wasn't really my favorite, just the obvious stuff: pasta, pizza, maybe a little wine. That trip completely changed my mind. Italian food is now one of my absolute favorites. But what I didn't expect were the food lessons that had nothing to do with pasta or pizza at all. 6 things I learned about actually eating in Italy, and one of them explains exactly how I ended up on that bathroom floor in Venice. Tip 1. Tourist traps. Don't get on the hype train. Rule 1. Restaurants near major monuments and restaurants with long lines out front are almost never where the good food is. Proximity to a landmark and popularity aren't quality signals. They're just proof a lot of tourists walked past and didn't know any better. The same goes for a restaurant that's overhyped or gone viral on social media. In Rome, I kept hearing about this viral sandwich place called All'Antico Venaio, so my girlfriend and I decided to give it a try. We went to the one near the Pantheon. I stood in a line that nearly stretched onto a different street. After almost an hour waiting in the scorching sun, I got our orders. La Paradiso for me, with mortadella, creamy stracciatella cheese, pistachio cream, and crushed pistachios. And the veggie for my girlfriend, with gorgonzola cream, spicy zucchini, spicy eggplant, sun-dried tomato, and arugula. Both sandwiches were pretty mid, and honestly, not worth the wait. This particular chain has branches all over Rome and other Italian cities, so maybe this one branch just had an off day. Other people have raved about their sandwiches being some of the best they've ever had. Either way, it's proof that a line around the block guarantees hype, not flavor. Rome also taught us that an empty restaurant isn't always a red flag. We were staying in Trastevere, a vibrant bohemian neighborhood with narrow cobblestone alleys that's sadly become one of the most touristy parts of Rome. We went out for dinner and the whole street was packed. Every restaurant full, people everywhere, like there was a carnival going on. No chance of finding a seat anywhere. So we started walking back toward our Airbnb just 5 minutes away, and on the way we passed a cozy little restaurant with plenty of empty tables. The tables that were full, though, were full of local Italian families, clearly having a great time. We decided to give it a shot. The waiter barely spoke any English, but we managed to get our orders across. I had carciofi alla Giudia, a Jewish-style deep-fried artichoke that's famous in Rome, and carbonara, while my girlfriend had cacio e pepe. It turned out to be some of the best food we had in Italy. I even ordered a second pasta dish, pasta alla gricia, because I genuinely could not stop eating. Tip 2. Gelato. Shiny isn't always good. Here's a fast one. The best gelato in Italy is almost never in the shop, with the tall, neon-bright, piled-high displays. Look for gelato kept in steel tubs with lids. That's usually the sign of the real stuff. Made fresh, not pumped full of air, color, and stabilizers just to look good behind glass. Those steel containers are called pozzetti, and they're the gold standard for preserving artisan gelato, keeping it protected from air, light, and temperature swings so it stays creamy and stable. And while we're on the topic, don't just stick to your favorite flavor. Branch out. There are some genuinely incredible options out there. Pistachio and nocciola were a revelation for me, but stracciatella is still my absolute favorite. None of this, by the way, is what went wrong in Venice. That mistake was different, and I'll get to it. Tip 3. Aperol Spritz. Permission to not love the hype. You don't have to love everything Italy is famous for. Take the Aperol Spritz. Everyone raves about it. It's basically the unofficial drink of Italian summer. I didn't love it. Maybe I didn't get it from the right place, or maybe it's an acquired taste I didn't give enough time to. Either way, it just didn't land for me. That's not a knock on Italy. It's just a reminder you don't have to force yourself to love the iconic thing just because it's iconic. I ended up loving limoncello way more, a lemon liqueur from southern Italy. Tip 4. Chalkboard menus over photos. Another fast tell: if a restaurant's menu has photos of the food, or it's translated into 5 different languages, that's a menu built for tourists, not for quality. Look for the opposite, a simple menu, sometimes just handwritten on a chalkboard. That usually means the place is cooking for locals, not performing for visitors. It also tends to signal fresh, local ingredients and a menu that actually changes day to day. The same goes for restaurants where staff step outside to wave you in or talk up their dishes to pull you off the street. This happened to us constantly in Venice. A good restaurant doesn't need gimmicks. The food and service speak for themselves. Tip 5. Dinner timing. Italy eats late. One more practical one. A lot of restaurants in Italy don't even open until 7, sometimes 7:30 p.m., and most locals aren't actually sitting down to eat until closer to 8. After 3 years living in the UK where I was used to finishing dinner by 6, sometimes even 5 p.m., this took some real adjusting. Finding food that early in Italy is genuinely a challenge, since most good restaurants simply aren't open yet. And here's why that actually matters. This is exactly how a lot of tourists end up back at Tip 1's trap restaurants. You're hungry, tired, it's 6:15, and the only thing open is the overpriced place with the picture menu right next to the monument. My advice instead? Load up on Italy's incredible street food and snacks earlier in the day, and save your real appetite for when the authentic restaurants actually open. One tip left, the one that explains the bathroom floor. But if you're finding these useful so far, subscribing helps a small channel like this more than you'd think. Tip 6. Venice, how I got food poisoned. Here's what actually happened. Venice was the last stop on our trip. Almost everything there is catered to tourists, and it's genuinely hard to find a restaurant serving what Venice actually has to offer versus what it thinks tourists want. We walked into a place we knew nothing about. No recommendation, no research, nothing. Just picked it and sat down. I ordered cicchetti, small savory snacks built around different kinds of seafood. The waiter suggested I try the full mix, so I said yes. The plate came out with everything, some of it raw, I think, some fried, some pickled. That plate is where it started. Something fell off almost immediately, but I wasn't sure what, so I kept eating. It was genuinely delicious, which made it easy to ignore the warning signs. We also had some pasta, though I honestly can't remember what, since the food poisoning was already starting to take over. At the time, I still didn't realize what was happening. I'd never experienced anything like it before. We rushed back to our Airbnb, and I went straight for the bathroom to bring up everything I'd just eaten. Looking back, this is the one rule I broke that every other tip on this list was quietly built on. Don't eat blind. Ask locals where they actually eat. Look for where the workers on their lunch break are sitting, not where the tour groups are pointing their cameras. After it happened, I ended up talking to our Airbnb hosts, a lovely elderly Venetian couple and their daughter. Warm, friendly, exactly the kind of locals I should have asked in the first place. They pointed us toward a couple of spots that turned out to be fantastic. If I'd done that from the start, I'd probably never end up on that bathroom floor. 12 days, 6 real lessons, and one very bad night in Venice. The short version: read the signals, ask the locals, and don't let hunger make the decision for you. Have you ever gotten sick from food while traveling? Tell me where. I want to know if Venice really deserves the reputation, or if I just got unlucky.